Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
These shows are brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation in partnership with the Soaring Spirits Foundation. Our mission is helping people find hope after loss and giving a voice to grief and recovery. Well, Heidi, we've got a really good show today because I know we've had a lot of people who have wanted more shows on spouse loss.
Yep.
And also, we know one of the big issues for you and for many people is online dating, how to date again, how to connect
Regular dating.
Regular dating. Yeah.
Online, offline.
Online, offline, whatever. So we have got some great guests, experts, to give you some good advice.
Yes, people that have walked the walk and talked the talk. I love that they're laughing right now because they're like, okay, we have a lot to say. and it is interesting because, they got married and probably didn't realize that they were going to even have to dive into the whole dating scene. Especially as soon as they had to, because all of them haven't been, they were with their spouses. They lost their spouses relatively young in life.
Right.
And so we are going to talk to them about
I guess I'll have to
this.
stop and say, in this day and age, it may be a partner that you lost and not a spouse, too.
Right.
So
That's
you
a good
may
point.
have to move on after living with somebody or just even dating them. It is so tough to lose those people you love.
Absolutely, and we don't really move on. We learn to live with things, learn to live with it. And I think one of the hard things is, Mom, and I saw it with the 9/11 widows because I worked with them for 10 years, the firefighter widows. How to find somebody that allows you to keep the person you love in your life that has died. That takes a certain person. Some people are like, no. So we'll talk with our guests today. So our guests are all friends, which is pretty cool, and they all met at Soaring Spirits, right? You guys, did you meet through Soaring Spirits? You met somehow
We met online a little bit before,
Okay.
knew of each other through Facebook, and then we all met up at Camp Widow, which is an organization through Soaring Spirits for the first time. And as soon as we all met, we just all got along and had great chemistry, and we've been
love
friends for
this.
years now.
And we all give presentations there at Camp
Yeah.
Widow, so.
So you guys give presentations together. You've all authored books.
Yes.
You're all coaches.
Yep.
You're all speakers and workshop presenters and out there and bloggers and this. You all have big followings.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's super cool. So we've got Kelley Lynn Shepherd right here.
Yes.
Hey, Kelley Lynn.
Hi.
And then we have John Polo right here.
John.
And then we have Michelle Miller right here.
And Michelle, and we've had Michelle and John on before.
And we've had all of them on podcasts.
Yes, and we've had all of them on podcasts, so if you go to Open to Hope, you can hear more from these guys.
And John pitched this show to me, and I said, let's do it. Dear Heidi, I have friends. Why, we'll bring them. Let's do it. Let's do it. They are widowed. Okay, good.
Okay, well, I want to get, we're going to talk about their books? or-
Yes.
Okay.
So the books. Kelley Lynn's was number one on Amazon.
It was when it came out. It was the #1 new
That's
release
big.
and bestseller in the grief category.
Let's let her give the name.
Yes, that's great.
Okay, it's My Husband Is Not a Rainbow, the brutally awful, hilarious truth about life, love, grief, and loss.
All right.
Wow, love it.
Great
And the
title.
book is just as long as the title.
And your husband is Don.
My Husband is Don, yes.
Very good. Okay, John.
My book is called Widowed, Rants, Raves, and Randoms. I like to say it's the most unique grief book. I try to combine pages that will make you cry and pages that will make you laugh. So my vision was someone sitting on an airplane and crying 1 second and then flipping the page over and laughing hysterically and seeming like they were crazy to everyone else on the plane. So I think I accomplished that goal.
Love it.
Love it. And Michelle was your wife, was your wife.
Yep, my wife Michelle passed away at 30 in 2016.
Wow. Sorry.
And this is Michelle, not to be confused with your Michelle.
Yes.
Right.
This is
We're
your
not
friend, Michelle. You're not married.
No, God, no.
And your husband's name was?
My husband's
John.
name was John,
John.
not to be
So,
confused.
anyway, not to be
Just
confused with that
John.
John.
Yes, but my husband John passed away by suicide 4 years ago. My books are Boys, Booze, and Bathroom Floors, and that is specifically about dating after loss. And my second book is Vodka Soup for the Widowed Soul.
I love it.
Right. And I went online, about 3 days ago, and read this thing that we're going to New York and we want people to meet up with us and do an event. And what happened with it?
We just threw a big party last night.
Oh my gosh.
Big old party, lots of singing, lots of bad singing, karaoke.
Yeah.
That is
How did
Lots
we
of
miss
drinks.
that, Heidi?
Because we're not widows. Widowers.
Widows get to have all the fun, really. We do.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
Okay, let's get right on to it because people are on here. Have you guys, tell us about dating and what are the pitfalls and
wow.
did
Where do
you
you
do
start?
online and let's hear it.
Where do you start?
Yeah, where do you start?
Well, okay, I guess, you want me to start?
I'm just saying, I was just thinking, have you all tried at least online dating, regular dating?
Yeah.
Friends, we've
Yeah.
all done every form. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me personally, I lost my husband 7 years ago. I wasn't ready to date for almost 5 years.
And he died of a sudden heart attack.
Sudden heart attack,
Okay.
46 years old. I was 39 and, suddenly widowed. And for the first 2 years, I would say, just the idea of someone else made me nauseous. It made me sick to my stomach. And I couldn't even picture it or think about it or anything. And then slowly that began to
kids for
shift. No
people.
kids.
Okay, because that's important because
Yeah.
some people are no kids and wondering about dating and people
Yep.
are asking her, well, why don't you move on?
Right,
Or whatever.
right,
And,
right.
and then there are people
Because
who have,
when someone dies and you didn't get a divorce, they're dead, and so you're still in love with them. I was
Right.
still in love. I am,
Yeah.
I'm not still in love with my husband because he's not alive, but I will always love my husband.
Well, and I'm also
but it took me a long
wondering,
time
Kelley,
to
yeah.
not be in love with him.
When you said, okay, it made me sick to my stomach, I would also think, okay, dating reconfirms that he is never coming back.
yeah, yeah.
And there's something about that that could be, make you sick to your stomach.
Yeah, and I also didn't know how to feel like I wasn't married to him anymore. Like I just didn't, my heart didn't understand how to do that. And it took me a long time and a lot of grief counseling and stuff like that to just understand it and really get it that I can still love this person, but he can't be my husband anymore. And that
Right.
was really hard for me.
How was your first date?
My first date was awful. It was awful. It turned into a relationship. It was a relationship with another widower, actually. And it was about 5 months long. And it was a relationship I should have never been in, but I was just in it because I was lonely. And it had been 5 years. And I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't done anything. And so it was not the right choice of person for me. But
That's okay.
That's okay. You
That's
okay.
okay.
I made a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah, well, that's how you learn. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah.
So how did you meet? Just quickly, and then we're going to go. I want to hear about first date, how you met, and so we can get into some of the problems too.
I met. How did I meet the first person I went
Yeah.
out with? On the dating sites.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I
okay,
did the
online.
dating
Which one
sites.
was it?
I don't remember.
Well, it's okay.
I think it was OK Cupid.
Okay, stupid.
OK Stupid.
It must,
yeah.
have been, it must have been weird to write the things. I mean, I imagine you wanted to say, looking for a date. I loved my husband.
Yeah.
I wish he was
Yeah.
still here, and I don't want to be dating.
Yeah.
No, you wanted to
I kind of did say that online. I was very honest on my profile,
Yeah.
on the dating pages. And so I wanted to put it out there. I said I was widowed. I said all of that. And I said, I'm ready to explore the next step, but I will always love my husband. He's a part of my life. And if you can't deal with that, you probably shouldn't date me. So
I love it. You
kinda
front
said
loaded with that to,
Yeah.
to weed those people out that
Yeah.
can't handle that.
I
like
did.
that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, John, how was your first date? How did you find it? When did you do it? What's your thought?
Well, my first date was okay. It was with a widow. Part of my coaching is I do a lot of dating coaching, and I always tell women, don't necessarily put a ton into the first date if there's no spark. And one of the reasons I know that is because I come across very boring on a first date, but actually I'm hilarious. No, I'm a horrible first dater. But actually, if you get to know me, I'm funny.
That's because you're nervous. You're kind of neurotic.
Yeah,
He's very
I have
neurotic.
anxiety and
Yeah.
I'm crazy. So it was just okay. But
You need these two with you on your first
Yeah.
date, and then you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I've started to overcome that and embrace
Yeah.
my neurotic nature
Yeah.
and tell them up front. So,
Yeah.
but
like
some bad dates, some good dates. I've dealt with the guilt, and I've been able to overcome that. And now
The guilt that you're cheating on Michelle? I know that sounds really
Right.
weird. I was just wondering if you
Yeah.
guys thought that
Yeah.
or no, or is that
I
a
did.
crazy thing to say?
No, it's not.
I did.
Okay.
I thought that.
What I've noticed is with a lot of clients and friends is that most people feel guilt, not everyone, but it comes at different stages. So some people feel guilt right away, which is when I had it. Other people don't necessarily feel guilt until they meet somebody and fall in love again. And that's when the true guilt sets in, especially if there's aspects of the relationship that maybe we're better than their marriage in some way. Then it's really profound guilt.
Well, I'm the opposite because I never had guilt.
Right, and not everyone does.
And just because of my situation, and I find this with a lot of suicide widows I work with, because of the mental health decline, there was a lot of problems in the marriage. So, for instance, my
So
husband...
slowly the marriage was kind of
It was
declining.
deteriorating.
Yeah.
There was also a lot of infidelity on his side, which is a part of his mental illness, now that I've come to realize. So I had felt justified in dating again. There had been, I felt like I never had any guilt because of the infidelity and because our marriage was essentially over by the time he died.
I think this is important, Michelle, because I find no matter who died in your life, and I have a brother that died, so I hear over and over, once they die, they've been elevated to the status of God.
Of sainthood,
and they're perfect all of a sudden.
Right.
And the reality is, there's good, bad things
And I
about
feel
every
like it's
relationship.
dishonoring to
Relationships are
someone's
complicated.
memory to only remember the good things. I feel that you're not creating a whole person. And there were great things about my husband. It's hard to separate because I feel like he was two separate people before the mental illness took over. But, he wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect either. And so when I present him, especially to our children, I don't say horrible, bad things, but I'm just honest and just say, yeah, he had some problems and he should have gotten help soon, but he didn't because he had a lot of pride. But you know what? He was really awesome at barbecuing and he loved to wrestle with you guys in the living room because I feel like representing the whole person is the best thing to do.
Did you? It's interesting that you're saying wrestle, because did you know when I worked with the firefighter families after 9/11, the children that had lost dad said the number one thing they missed was wrestling.
Wrestling, yeah.
Well, John, I got to ask you, how did you meet her?
My first date?
Yeah.
Fellow.
And how did you get up the courage to do it? And tell us how.
It was just a widow in one of the widowed groups. Facebook has a lot of widowed groups, which people don't know about. I
Is
didn't
it
know about.
easier to date a widow?
It's funny because Kelley said something, and one of the things I kind of wanted to mention was, I think a lot of people, they think that dating is black and white.
Yeah.
I'm only going to date a widowed person, or I'm only going to date a non-widowed person, or this or that. I personally find it a little easier to date a widowed person, but not everyone is like that. I think going into it with an open mind is the most important thing.
That makes sense.
And making sure they're not still married.
And also, and also, as Kelley said, putting it out there up front.
Yeah.
That I am a widowed person,
Right.
and if you can't deal with that,
Right.
too bad.
So you met her on Facebook.
Right.
Okay. So tell us how that goes. Was she in your area? Did you see a picture of her? What did
Yeah, I saw a picture, and then we met for lunch, and I was my boring self, and there weren't.
But important key. We met for lunch. We didn't go to dinner and a movie together.
Right, right. Well,
In fact, coffee might even be better.
Yeah,
Right?
first
We
date
didn't-
should be no longer than an hour.
Okay, that's good.
That's my a tip. I feel like instantly if you have chemistry when they walk in.
but see, I actually disagree. We just
really?
disagree. That's what I'm
disagree
saying.
on a lot of things. I think I can tell if I have chemistry in the first date, like first 20 minutes.
I tell my female clients, I have a Julia Roberts test. Hopefully she doesn't watch this. But I think that
A Julia Roberts festival?
No, a Julia Roberts test.
Test.
This
I
is
thought
what
you
it
said
says.
festival. Maybe you should have a festival. Maybe
I
it
love
was-
her. There should be a
I
Julia.
think Julia Roberts is a attractive woman, but I'm not attracted to Julia Roberts. Here's my point. If we're going off topic here, but if I tell my female clients, if you go out with a man and you think he's good looking with your eyes, even if sparks aren't flying everywhere, give him a second chance if he seems like a nice guy, because sparks can come later, despite what Michelle Miller thinks. I've seen it happen.
Especially if he's a nice guy.
Especially if he's shy and
Yeah.
weird like me.
Yeah.
Sparks aren't going to fly everywhere
Yeah.
until you get to know the neurotic, funny side of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went with her just once?
Yeah,
Okay.
just once.
So Michelle, first date.
I actually started dating like an old friend from high school.
How did you connect with him, though?
We had always just kept in touch over the years. We were always just kind of friends or whatever. And then after my husband died, he was one of the people that I messaged and told because I knew
He's
I could.
divorced or what?
No, he was just never married, and
Okay,
he
never
had
married.
and he lived out of town, and he just
Okay, we've
said
got to give him never married people a
never
chance,
married.
right?
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and I looked at dating differently. I was never. I date recreationally. I don't ever want a relationship right now or marriage. So it was just kind of like an escape, I think. And so he had just kind of said, "I always had a crush on you. Like, why don't you come down? I know this is a hard time. If you ever need a place to get away, he lived in San Diego. If you need a place to get away, you can come to my place."
All right, now you got it. Now you said it.
Yeah.
She dates recreationally.
I do.
What does that mean?
Here's the something I feel like when we're all dating, you know, in our early 20s.
When she needs a workout, she goes on a date.
Exactly.
Casual dating.
I casual date, and there's nothing. I just feel like when you're dating in your early 20s, you're kind of looking towards going somewhere, towards marriage. I've done it, been there, done that. I don't want to remarry. Maybe never, but for sure, right now with my kids, I don't want to remarry. But you know what? I still like to go out and have fun. I like to get to know people. And so I date recreationally. I do it to have fun, and I have, you know, little relationships, sometimes a month, sometimes 2, sometimes 6 months, but nothing too serious. And I'm upfront with that with the men that I date right
got
away.
the rules.
Yeah, because I don't want to leave. If they're really looking for marriage and family, I'll tell them right away. That's just not something.
me.
It's not me. Don't waste your time. But yeah, I've gotten to know a lot
John,
of
what do you
people.
think when you hear her saying that? Come on, let me hear it.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
That's something that I say, you know, before we were widowed, I think the world was very black and white.
Yeah.
And then after you lose the person who you plan to spend the rest of your life with, you see it's actually a sea of gray.
Yeah.
So you should do what you kind of want to do and what makes you happy. And if she wants to date recreational, that's great. And if people want to get married again, that's great. And if people never want to go on another date ever again, that's okay
There's
too.
plenty of people that choose to never date again. That's fine too.
And then Kelley, where do you weigh in on all this?
Well, I didn't date for 5 years, and then I started dating. I went on the dating sites. I had a bunch of bad dates, good dates, mediocre dates. Met a lot of weirdos. Met a lot of people who ghosted me, which is a term. Do you know what
is that?
ghosting
No.
is? Has nothing to do with death. It's it's when somebody is dating you, whether it's for 2 months, 2 weeks, or 2 years sometimes, and they just disappear with no explanation. They just stop
Wow.
contact, and that happened to
Okay.
me like 3 times in a row.
Wow.
And can I say something real
Yeah.
quick? Sorry, we're friends. I can cut you off. The ghosting is horrible, but especially to a widowed person.
Yeah.
Because my guess is that you were like, did this person die?
Yes.
Like my husband.
Yeah, because
I didn't even, that didn't even occur
It's
to
like
me.
a
No,
trigger.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for saying that. That didn't even occur to
it's
me.
Like a
It's a
trigger.
trigger.
If
It's
my
not
husband
just
died
rude,
suddenly,
it's
so
traumatic.
It always felt like he just disappeared
Yeah.
to me because he left for work and never came home. So it felt like, where'd he go? He just
Are
disappeared.
they okay?
Right. And
Wow,
so, yeah,
okay.
it's a total trigger, you know, for a widowed person, for somebody to just disappear. And it's normally because they're, I guess, too spineless to deal with, you know, this isn't working out or whatever it is. But I did end up falling in love about 17 months ago, and I met him online as well. And he's not a widowed person. And so...
Has he been married before?
He has, but a long
Okay.
time ago. He was very young when he was married, so he's technically divorced. But it was such a long time ago that you know, I sort of consider him single.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very compassionate and understanding about me being widowed, and I think a lot of that is because I put it out there at first, and he's also been through a lot of loss himself, even though he's not widowed. His parents are not alive, and his sister is not alive.
Oh, wow, he
And
has.
so he's had a lot of
He
loss.
understands loss. And
Very
he
well.
understands how you still keep Don in your life and
Yes.
continue that bond in a different way.
And he also helps me keep Don in my life.
I
You know,
like this
like
guy.
he's great.
He's great. We've all met him. We love him.
Yeah, he came to Camp Widow with me.
No,
so
he's a
that
keeper.
was my partner. So yeah, so it was.
Wow,
that
that's
was a
amazing
really
that
cool
he came
thing.
to Camp Widow.
It was great.
I'm impressed.
It was really great to see him there, watching me with my tribe and my community, and making him a part of that community.
Yeah.
It was really a beautiful thing to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay, so John, do you have kids? No.
I don't.
Okay. So the reason I'm only asking that is I want to say, what about having kids and introducing somebody in for the night or whatever? And what are some of the things I've heard people talk
Michelle
about?
could answer
Introducing
that.
one of your
Yeah.
recreational
Yes,
kids.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, what do
I
you
don't
do
have
about,
to just-
about
We're
your
having a
kids? But-
sleepover tonight, children.
Yeah.
But
Right.
not only that with the kids, but what about mom and dad, the
grandparents,
older
the
people?
in-laws,
What do they
everybody.
think
Right.
when you're having somebody come up? What does your
Yeah.
neighbor
Well,
think when
For all
somebody
of they
comes
can all
around?
answer
What do
the
you
thing about
think?
mom
Yeah.
and
We've all
dad
talked
and
about
people.
that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I've
you
been so
start.
out. Yeah, like I mean, my first book was called Boys, Booze, and Bathroom Floors. So everybody knew I was casually dating. It wasn't a big deal. As far as, I mean, I had two, they're teenagers now, but preteens when I was dating, and I never brought men around. There were a few men that I was dating that legitimately just ended up being my friends, and we're still on friendly basis, and they would come over and, for a barbecue or whatever. I've never had a man stay the night when my kids were home. And my kids' grandparents, my parents and my in-laws are very involved. So the kids go away a lot, spend weekends with grandparents or holidays, and then I can have men over or I'll stay out,
Okay.
if I stay over at their house, and I live with my best friend, so she's there to help.
So you're both parenting
We're both
your kids
parenting. She
together.
has 3 children.
That's
I have
pretty cool.
2. Yeah, and we've been best friends for almost 20 years
I
now.
love that you guys are co-parenting
Yeah,
together.
and we're co-parenting them together, and
That's
it works
super
fantastic,
cool.
and it works out great because she's in the dating world too. So she'll go on dates, and I'll stay in with the kids, and vice versa.
And is there judgment about you guys did it too soon, you didn't do it
Yes.
soon enough, yada,
Yes.
yada, yada?
Always.
Okay.
There's always judgment, no matter what you do. Always.
Always.
Okay, this is good to
So,
know.
John, what's your thought about it?
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a blog, and it was called Sit Down and Shut Up, and I put it in my book, and it was the most popular thing I've ever written. And it basically just says you will be judged no matter what you do, so do what you want to do, and then it kind of calls out the people who judge us. I've seen people who start dating again a month after their spouse passes, and I've seen people who never date ever again. Or people who take 5 years, like Kelley. It's not a reflection of how much you loved your spouse. It's truly not. At least the people I met, it's not.
We had somebody on our show recently who made that comment. She's been married for quite a while, and she, for years, and she started dating after, it wasn't dating, but this guy supported her through her husband's funeral. They were good friends, and like 3 months later, they got married, and she's been very, very happy. And that's her comment. I mean, people judge me.
Yeah.
They're going to
because I
judge
got
no matter
married
what.
Too soon, you know.
Or I'm thinking with Kelley, I bet people said, "Why are you waiting for
Yes.
5 years?
Yeah.
You're
Constantly.
getting older, and you're
Yeah.
not, and
Yeah.
you're letting life
You're
pass
not
you
getting
by."
any younger,
I can
and-
imagine the stuff they said to you. What's
Oh,
going on?
it was
Don would have wanted you to be happy.
Yes.
Don would
have
want you
wanted
to be with somebody.
Yeah, well, Don's dead, so. And
He doesn't get an opinion.
he doesn't get opinion. And and I would constantly get, "Are you dating yet? Are you dating yet? Are you dating yet?" And it became so annoying. Like, no, I'm not.
Or did
And
people try to fix you up?
They did, or they would mention that,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of, "Are you dating yet?" And then when I said no, it was like, they didn't want to know about the rest of my life. I'm like, what about all the other accomplishments I've made? What
Yeah.
about all these other things that I've done since my husband died? None of those things matter. Why is the only thing you want to know about is, am I dating again? That annoyed me.
That I can understand.
Okay, I don't know the words today, but hooking up. What if somebody just wants to hook up with a night, or
You get it right, hooking up.
It's hooking up.
Hooking up Hooking up is fantastic.
What do we do? Should I do it? Should I not? How do I let them stay over? How do I say you're a nice person, but you're not? I don't want you to stay over. How?
Right.
How do you? How
I'm
do
very
you
blunt about it.
negotiate
I'm
this?
like, well, and here's the thing, safety first, obviously. Don't go home with someone you've just met. That's why the first date, I think, is important. You meet 30 minutes just to kind of fill it out. You can tell a lot by your instincts. You can also find out the first and last name on the date. And then I don't always Google, but I'll look on Facebook, just make sure everything they say is matching up. If I choose to go over to their house, I don't bring them, like I said, to my house. I don't want them to know where I live. If I end up going to their house, I'll send, an address to my friend. I even made a guy give me a picture of his driver's license.
I like that you're
send it-
doing these kind of things.
Yeah, and I kind of make it as a joke. Like the men will just be like, and I'll be like, well, I don't know. How do I know you're not a serial killer?
Yeah.
How do I know you're not a rapist? Like, you're going to have to pass a little test, kind of make it light. And they'll be like, okay, well, what do you need? Because at this point, they're willing to do anything to get me to go home with them. And I'll be like, well, here's what would make me feel safe.
Do you ever go on those
know?
government sites for $39 a month?
Yeah, I
you
thought
can
about
check out.
You can check out and see if they have a
everybody, whether
record.
they've
You
ever
can.
been arrested
Yes.
or
Yeah.
anything.
You can. Well, the community I'm dating into, I have so many friends that are single, and so we all kind of know of that person or their friend, or it's actually a small
I've also
world.
heard sometimes with intimacy, especially the first few times, it can be emotional.
Very, yeah.
Because you're with somebody for the first time and it's
Yeah.
not your spouse, and it brings up a lot of emotions, right? A lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
A lot of friends, clients, I don't know if you guys get this too, they tell me like they have complete breakdowns.
Yeah, I've
Not
heard
everyone
that.
does
Yeah.
though, so if you're watching this, please know that it may not happen to you.
Okay, but
just
be
saying.
prepared it could.
It
Yeah.
could, and it's normal.
Or some people have
Sure. It
can be-
breakdowns, some people silently cry, some people are perfectly fine. But that's why
It can touch
Don't
things
judge
that maybe you
yourself.
don't realize.
I know a lot of people
Right.
want to set guys up though.
Yeah.
What do you do
Do they,
with
John?
that?
Is that true? Do they want to set
actually
you up?
no.
No?
I don't know. No. Everywhere, I'm 34, which there's no good age to be widowed, so let me
Right.
just get that out. But I think there's certain ages where, everyone's kind of married,
Yeah.
and no one's really divorced yet
Yeah.
at my
Right.
age.
And are you
So-
at that
Right.
age kind of where people
Yeah.
are married and not
They're
divorced
still-
yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least where I live.
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense.
everyone's just
That
married.
makes sense.
So,
Yeah, yeah. So online dating is good for you to meet people.
I'm not a personal fan of online dating.
Okay, talk about
it's
that.
super successful for some people, and I think people should.
How do you meet people? You don't do online at all?
No.
You just meet them on Facebook. You met through Facebook. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of an online forum.
Well, we're going to talk about your website so people will be able to find you after the show.
few dating-
Yeah,
Even
they
though
can
you
date
don't think you're online dating, you may be online dating.
Right.
And,
Right.
how about you? How do you tell people? Well, how did you let your friend know that you were going to connect with him at the first? And how do you say no or yes to
The
people
internet.
coming in?
You mean the person I'm with now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I
How
let
did
him?
you decide whether he was going to be part of your life? Maybe
Oh
from
God,
the
I think it just kind of happened with us. I don't know if I ever decided. I really fell in love with him very quickly, and this was after 5 years. You know,
You were ready.
I was ready, and I had had a lot of bad relationships, short relationships, you know, different things, and I was really ready. And there was a little corner of me that believed there was something else out there for me. Like I never gave up hope about that, and I just knew that I wanted
knew
to
you
be.
could love-
I wanted to fall in love again.
You could love more than one person.
Yes.
You could love
Yes.
another guy.
Yeah, and still love my husband who died. You
I
know?
love that.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't really a decision.
We got to have one piece of dating advice from everybody before we close the show. You want to start?
Sure. Take your time. Don't do it at all. Do it. Don't do it. Do whatever you want. Do whatever works for your life, because this is your life and you've already been through enough loss and trauma and whatever you've been through. So, you know, claim your life and do it the way you want to do it.
Awesome. How about
It's
you?
awesome.
Yeah, way to steal my
other,
answer.
Other than other than stealing my answer of doing what you want to do because you've been through enough, I would say, and I just lost my train of thought. You go, and I'm going to get my train of thought back. You go
No, I was
first.
just thinking about just personal safety things. I mean, sexual safety, physical
Condoms?
safety, condoms, absolutely. Yeah, and just knowing, you know, being aware of your surroundings and being safe, whatever you need to do to feel safe. And then letting that person know that, hey, you know, the number one way for a woman to be murdered is by a romantic partner.
Wow,
on a
that's
date.
frightening.
Yeah, it is frightening. So, yeah.
Bring John
be
with you on your
safe.
dates.
Yeah, be safe.
My
Let
train
your
of
friends
thought
know
came
where
back
you're
too.
at. Yeah, just I think safety as a woman. That's my. I mean, even I'm sure men can be victimized too. But as a woman, you know, not
Bring
beating your
John with
dream.
you. He
yeah.
can bore them to death on the first day.
Yeah, don't do that. Safety first. That's what I say.
My train of thought came back.
Yes.
So many people have the approach, who will want me, I'm widowed.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things, other than empowering yourself, as Kelley said, is to reframe your mind and stop saying, who's going to want me, I'm widowed, and start saying, yeah, I survived the worst thing ever. I'm a strong person, and I have a ton to offer. So reframing your mind, because
Your catch.
self-esteem and self-worth and confidence
Great.
is needed when you're going back out there and dating.
Great.
it.
Well, thank you guys for being on the show and such great advice they've given you today. And Heidi and I, thank you for watching the show. And we want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own. God bless.